Welcome, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for this Intastop webinar titled Reducing the Risk of Ligature, Dorsets and Walls, being held in association with the STEP Communications website, Mental Health Design and Build. My name is Jonathan Bailey and I edit Health Estate Journal, the IHEAM magazine, and the Design in Mental Health Network journal, quarterly magazine, The Network. Intastop is a specialist in solutions for reducing ligature in mental health care settings, and this afternoon National Sales Manager Trevor Santa will highlight some of the research and collaboration that's seen the company develop its Secure Protecting People range. The webinar will cover solutions which promote increased safety for both patients and staff, reducing ligature opportunities across a variety of applications, medium secure and TS 001 standards. A bit about the speaker now. Trevor Santa is an active member of the Intastop Lean Product Development team and has been with the company for over 8 years, having spent a total of 18 years working in the construction and healthcare sectors. He says he's continuing the company's vision to be the leading manufacturer and supplier of solution-led products to the healthcare, anti-ligature, leisure and public sector markets. If you have any questions as Trevor's presentation progresses, please use the sidebar on the right-hand side of your screen, or normally there, and at the conclusion of this presentation, Trevor and Intastop Business Development Director, Phil Barsby, will do their best to answer them. Over to you for the presentation, Trevor.
Thanks, Jonathan, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining. As Jonathan said, my name is Trevor Santa, National Sales Manager for Intastop. Joining me today, which will come in straight at the end, will be Phil Barsby, who's our Business Development Director. He's also a member of the board at Design and Mental Health Network. So we are a company based in the northeast of the UK. We manufacture, supply and install products designed to protect the internal fabrics of building, and in doing so also protecting the users of those buildings. We work closely with specifiers and end users in order to provide the right solutions for the setting. So predominantly we work in healthcare, both in mental health and other healthcare, but also we supply solutions into the care home settings, education, retail and hotel and leisure. Today's webinar is based specifically on the mental health sector, and more so than our Secure range of products specifically designed for the mental health setting. So just a little bit about our Lean Product Improvement Group. So we have a collaborative group that takes all products from concept to market, going through various stages of design, testing and procurement in order to get the right product into the market at the right price and the right standard. In doing so, we use multi departments within the business. We also collaborate with the specifiers and the markets, including the end users, in order to get the right product into the marketplace. So when going through this process, many things that we need to consider. Testing both in-house and through third party. The long-term cost of the buildings, so that we make sure that the product is right for the particular setting. Any ligature points that we have to consider, we have to test and make sure that we're reducing those every step of the way. Making sure that barricade and anti-barricade is a massive consideration, both for staff safety and also for the safety of the end users. And the service users don't have any opportunities for self-harm. We have to make sure that all products function and are durable. They can resist impact, because there's sometimes going into settings where there can be quite a lot of abuse to the product, so we have to make sure they can withstand it. We have to make sure that we give service users privacy and dignity at all times. We also have to make sure that all our products are compatible with other products, because we're never the only product that's in situ in any setting. And within each setting, we also have to have different design considerations, i.e. in healthcare, we have to make sure we design for dementia care as well as acute mental health settings. Here's just a selection of products that have gone through our lean process within the last 2 years, and we'll come on to more of those some way down the webinar. So onto our secure range of products then, specifically for anti-ligature door sets. So when putting any door set into one of the mental health settings, we have to consider a number of things. Quick access for staff. Have to make sure that we can withstand high abuse. There's a door control system that allows quick access, so one of the considerations there is one key that fits everything. Giving privacy and dignity to the service users through the vision panel and the hinge sections, but also to make sure that staff can check on patients and service users to make sure that they're safe. We have to go through various levels of anti-ligature testing, as well as fire and abuse testing. And where possible, we have to design non-institutional looking products so that it feels more homely. On a bedroom door set, we would expect to always see a hinge, and in this setting would be a continuous hinge that will run top to bottom so that it gives privacy and dignity. A removable door stop so that we can anti-barricade the door, so if there is an issue, that the staff can open the door very easily and very quickly. We spoke about privacy as well, so the vision panel will allow staff to just check on patients to make sure they're safe, but also in the closed position gives the service users their privacy. On the vision panels, we'd expect to see some form of beading, either timber anti-ligature beading, or in most cases will be a stainless steel surround. Quite often on a door, we would see a door top alarm as well that will activate should there be a ligature on top of the door, and will activate to the pages or the staff attack thing that the service users are, the staff are carrying. In order to operate the door top alarm, there'd also be electronic transfer hinge. So it's a standard hinge, but we just run the wiring through in order to operate door top alarm or electronic door control, or in some cases an electronic security panel. And also in most cases on a bedroom door, we'd expect to see some form of closer. And finally, to make things maybe less institutional or allow for that extra level of abuse, we may see the door frame encapsulated in our PVC material, which just protects the frame for the life of the door. So moving on to an ensuite door, the same considerations are in place, other than we don't need to provide a vision panel in order to see into the room. In most cases, an ensuite door, it'll be on a single acting hinge opening into the bedroom, so we don't have to consider barricade necessarily. So we'd still expect to see possibly a door top alarm that will activate if there's a ligature on top of the door. But as I said, a single acting hinge with a anti-ligature tip on the top, and the electronic transfer hinge should there be a door top alarm. And quite often on an ensuite door, we may encapsulate the door in PVC protection fully, which also give it water resistance against the door swelling up. And also another option is to have a lock back door, which means it can be locked back at any opportunity, and then can be locked back in position at various stages of the day. Other considerations within the setting is communal doors and office doors as well. Again, exactly the same considerations. We would expect to see a full length hinge to basically hang the door and give it its durability. Vision panels in these types of doors tend to be clear glass, so don't necessarily need an operator. And we'd have to bead that in somehow, either through the anti-ligature timber beading or stainless steel surround. And finally, we'd also expect to see some form of closer there. So moving away from doors slightly, we have our wall protection range as well. Some of them been adapted from our standard wall protection range in order to support the mental health market. Firstly, the handrails that we've adapted 5 of our handrail ranges in order to fit the mental health market. So they'll be fitted onto the wall with a solid timber batten, continuous batten, and then the PVC clipped over the top to make it a continuous run and hence being ligature free. Those are available in 34 different colors as well. We also have the solid timber handrail, which is anti-ligature in its nature. It's a continual anti-ligature timber that fits the wall and in all circumstances. Can also be used to go up stairwells should the need require. Also, we do have our aspects range, which is PVC protection sheet, but with imagery. So it's going to do 2 things. In a setting, it's going to brighten up the environment. It's going to allow any images to be placed onto that sheet, and it's printed onto the back of the sheet so that the images can't get damaged should there be damage within the building. But also what it's doing is protecting the walls at the same time. So it's doing 2 different things. So new things that have come out recently then from Intastop through our lean product range. We've adapted and changed somewhat our anti-barricade removable doorstop. These changes were born out of many conversations with trusts about what can we do to improve the current range of doorstops that we have. So we've done many things to it. We've added locking indicators. We've made the hook locks adjustable and retracting, and also improved the key operations again, so that one key will fit all on site. We also brought out our Secura vision panel range, which is for tested to medium secure. Fire tested for 30 and 60 minutes. Went through rigorous cycle testing with it, and as you can see on the image, it's got a side key operator, which means there's no hole through the glass, so it gives that extra level of abuse potential, so that we can't break through the product. We spoke about the handrails that have been adapted to put a timber batten on the wall. We've also just recently brought out a PVC handrail that was designed and developed purely for this market. It's exactly the same concept, albeit it's a fully extruded handrail with an aluminium core that will fit straight to the wall, and the PVC fits over the top. So quite a quick, easy product to fit. Available again in many colours, and ligature free in its nature. We've also brought out a shrouded full mortise hinge. So we spoke earlier about our single acting full length hinge. This is the same concept, but it has a shroud on the back. And again, this was born out of conversations with a particular trust in the north of England who wanted something slightly different for their building. So it went through the lean process, and we developed it purely for that trust as a special. However, once it was in market and tested in the marketplace, we're now able to put it into market for mass manufacture. Just recently, we've also managed to adapt our vision panel so that we have a clear vision panel now for all door settings. So we spoke earlier about the communal doors where it needs to just be clear glass. We have now got a vision panel range that can fit that setting, so that it doesn't have any operator, and it's tested for its durability for the settings that it's going into. Also, our frame-mounted closer to fit with our new shrouded double swing hinges. It was important that obviously with every door, bedroom door especially, we have to have a closer. So we have to have the two operating together. So that went through quite rigorous testing in order to test for fire testing, also ligature, and working with the hinge. Finally, on our shrouded double swing hinges, we've moved it on one stage now. So originally we brought the non-fire rated shrouded double swing hinge to market, then tested it to FD30 and brought that. Now we've added the twin smoke seals and put it back through testing to now got a shrouded double swing hinge that will fit a FD30 door with smoke. Things that are coming soon from Intastop, they're going through the lean process at the moment. So we have an anti-ligature grab bar range anyway through our partner called Ponte Giulio in Italy. We're now manufacturing through them and designing a full range of anti-ligature grab bars and accessories. And also the door top alarm that we've spoken about briefly. We're now able to put that on the bottom of the door because, again, through conversations with various trusts, they wanted the alarm to also go on the bottom of the door for risk of using the bottom of the door as a ligature point. So we're now able to do that as well, and it pairs with the alarm on the top. Finally, we've still got our Intastop testing house, which we welcome anybody to book in a session to come and either have a look at or test some products, bring some products for testing, bring clients to test. It's been used quite rigorously over the last 5 years, and we continue to do so, working with trusts, contractors and specifiers in order to make sure that products are tested to the right level. And then on installation, we've got the accreditations in place in order to install products in your settings. So please feel free to reach out to us and get more information on our installation service. That leads me to the end of the webinar. Just going to, at this point, we are open for any questions. I'll bring in Phil Barsby as well at this point, who hopefully can answer any questions that people may have. So thank you for listening, and I'll hand you back to Jonathan.
Thank you very much, Trevor, for a very interesting presentation. As Trevor said, he's now joined by Phil Barsby, who is Intastop's Business Development Director. And if anybody has any particular questions they'd like to ask, please put them on the side of the screen. We already have one or two. I wondered whether you're involved with the BRE and Design and Mental Health Networks testing and standards initiative, where the BRE is now testing products. Have you had any involvement in that?
Do you want me to answer that, Trev?
Yes, please, Phil.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, like Trev said at the start, or yourself, Jonathan, I am on the Design and Mental Health Committee, and we're passionate to improve the appearance and of buildings and the safety of the inpatients, as well as the staff. So it's and there's the exhibition in a couple of weeks' time. So hopefully you can all come along or have a look. And if you're not sure anything about it, it's down in Coventry, right at the end of August. And obviously contact me through Intastop and I can give you some further information. But on the testing, that's something we're very passionate about as a collective organisation, and it's been extensive discussions and thorough working through the last probably 5 years now, headed by Phil Ross, and I'm assisting him along with several others. BRE will be the testing organisation to go to, and the basis is of a uniform testing standard. So there's been criticism of the industry over the years that different people will test different methods or different ways. There's no real support for trust on what is the final method to test. So it's not there yet. We're still working through it hard, but there has been quite a lot of information already passed out. So if you've not received anything or want further information, we can do that. But certainly, come end of 2021, we'll be looking to be doing extensive testing, and it's another assistance for trusts and private sector for testing products.
Thanks very much. I wondered if one of you could say a bit more about the lean process that Intastop has and the process and how it works.
Yeah, so it's important that we consider everything when we're bringing products into the marketplace. We have to consider everything commercially. So we've got the right procurement in place, but more importantly, that we're actually producing what our customers require. So there's an early engagement with specifiers and customers for those products. There's then obviously we have to make sure that we're going through the right stages so that we support our business commercially, but also making sure that it's right for the market, it's tested to the right standard, and that when it comes out the other end, it is actually fit for purpose for the market. Quite often, we'll go back to stage 1, 2, or 3 early on when we think we're nearly there, and then something might crop up, or there might be more engagement with customers will give us a reason to go back a stage and just redesign something. So it has to be a collaborative thing rather than just engineers producing products, which if we go back 7 or 8 years probably was, if we're honest. Now it's what do we need as salespeople? What do our marketers need? What do the engineers need to do? But also, what do our customers actually need us to do in that process?
Thank you.
Just to add, Jonathan, just to clarify as well, this process is audited. So we've got ISO 9001 accreditation, and developing of products is part of that accreditation, and we have to follow quite a rigorous procedure that's audited annually to make sure we comply.
Just thank you for that, gentlemen. I just wanted to ask you, when you're dealing with NHS trusts, and you must have quite a few as customers now, do you find there's a reasonably equal split in terms of input from clinical people, nursing and clinical people, and estates and facilities staff? Do the estates teams get as involved in specification and testing as clinical people these days?
Yeah, so not necessarily directly. Now, when we pre-COVID, when we used to have a lot of face-to-face presentations within various settings, we always used to then go and re-present it to the clinical staff, which is where our feedback would come from. Sometimes you get the stronger feedback at that point. The estates departments and our customers, we know, are engaging those clinical staff at all times anyway, because ultimately they're their customers as well, as silly as it sounds. Although they work for the same trust, they are their customers. So we're quite confident that, albeit our engagement is with the estates teams and the project teams, that those conversations are taking place at all times.
Are you finding much in the way of sort of changed thinking about ligature and anti-ligature in terms of approach these days from NHS trusts? Have things changed in terms of the approach to those products?
I think they have, and just touching back on what Phil said about the BRE, I think it's now a case of trying to create some standards that are standardized. I think previously some of it may have been down to interpretation as well. But ultimately, ligature has always been at the forefront of everything that's needed to be done, both from ourselves and from our customers. So yes, changes will always be made as we get a better understanding of the market throughout. But yeah, I think Yeah, sorry, Phil.
Yeah, so I just add that, yeah, obviously, products are coming on from a lot of competition, manufacturers. The industry is really advanced with technology these days. When I started 20 years ago, the world was a completely different place in mental health institutions, which is really much for the better, and that's why I'm passionate about being on the design of mental health. We want to make it better. But what I would say is the changes of like our products are being driven through change. So the door bottom alarm was never needed 10, 15 years ago, because if there was an unfortunate suicide attempt on a door, they'll always try and use the top of the door or wedge something in the door. Because of advancement in technology by ourselves and others, the risk has moved. So the top of the door is now covered with an alarm bar. Other things are resolved in the door. So products are having to be brought in on areas that were not ever thought about, hence like the door bottom. So yes, it's always evolving, and we always have to try and work with the trust and identify their needs as soon as possible.
Are you still sometimes surprised by the ingenuity of patients or service users in trying to either self-harm or damage products? I mean, does that surprise you, the lengths that people may go to if they're acutely ill, mentally ill?
No, sadly no, because these are conversations we have every day. That the issue just moves on to something else all the time. So sadly, it's not a surprise. It's just up to us to work, in the right manner in order to try and bridge some of those gaps where we might have issues.
A question from Gary Rollings. He's just said, is the same standard used for all mental health trusts?
Can we answer, Trev?
Yeah, got Phil, yeah.
Okay, so there's no set standards, Gary and others. And this is part of the problem why we're trying to do the BRE. It used to be always the TS001 standard for ligature for components, but most recently, I would say pretty much every trust I work with now will always use the medium secure standard, or guidance standard. It's not a standard, a guidance standard, which I believe was written by the medium secure hospitals group got together. And that's where you've got the 15-minute disruption test with a timber implement, 15-minute blows with a small mallet, and then 15 blows with a large mallet. And we're talking door sets, obviously, on this testing. And then the door set starts to work. So I would say that's the unofficial industry standard at the moment. But like I said, there's nothing set in stone that you have to use that.
Thank you. And we're getting some more product-specific questions. Another one from John Angel about the door top alarm. He said, does the alarm work when the door is open?
It's simply yes.
Yeah.
If it compresses and it activates with the staff attack system, sorry, not company.
And another question, is the Secura Clear panel available in long panel formation for, say, for corridor doors?
Want me to answer?
Yeah, sorry, Phil, yeah, come.
Okay, yeah, so if it's a non-fire rated door, you can have basically any size you want to the architect or the client specification. When you've got fire doors, obviously you've got to have only what's tested. So we're tested to a maximum height of 1300 millimeters. So if it's the corridor doors Trevor alluded to in his presentation, for DDA, it's got to be 1 meter and above. So 1300 clearly, covers any legal requirements for, say, the DDA.
Thank you for answering that one. A couple of questions about the handrails. One of the audience has asked, can the handrails go upstairs?
Yes, they can. They have to be fitted to make sure that if they go upstairs and then return, there's a mitered joint. But yeah, we do get requirements quite regularly for stairwells. So yeah, absolutely they can.
And another question, particularly with such an eye on infection control in all healthcare facilities these days, are the handrails antibacterial in design, or the incorporation of materials?
Gonna let you explain it, Phil.
Yeah, okay, so not a standard. It's quite a complex process to add it in, but we can offer it as an optional extra. So The big beauty of the 1000 AL, which Trevor showed you, the new one, is that when we manufacture it, if it's ordered with it in, it will be manufactured at source. So the additive is added in the manufacturing process. So it's not a coating. So a lot of antibacterial, antimicrobial products have a coating. So the problem with our products, that's okay for touch and feel, but when it's if something crashes into the product or prone to damage risk, which is why the products are in the first place, a coating can scratch off. So it's important that it's through the product. So it's so even if the top surface gets caught or scratched, the microbial additive is. So what our product is called is sure contact, but like I say, it's not off the shelf. So if you take 2 lengths off the shelf, you wouldn't have that in. You have to have it manufactured specially with this product in.
Is there considerable demand now in mental health care facilities for antibacterial materials and products, or does it just vary?
Acute hospitals, 100%. All our sheet material has to have that in a standard because the market dictates that. Mental health, not really. No, we've done a few jobs with the sure contact, but in the main, it's acute sector. But that doesn't mean, is it a knowledge information? I don't know, but certainly, yeah, there's a massive demand acute. Pretty much all products have to be antibacterial, antimicrobial these days. Mental health, not so, but there's options available.
I wondered how much testing you actually assist with on mental health sites for NHS trusts. Are you happy to send personnel there to have a look at their particular challenge and advise them?
Yeah, so there's 2 ways we do it. Trevor showed you the facilities we have in-house. We've had a number of trusts will come to us. They sometimes haven't got the facilities. So carrying on from Gary's question, if you do a medium secure test, you have to have a full-size door set and the facility to hold it in a structural place. So you couldn't, you've got to have a good substrate for the door because obviously the abuse level it's going to take. So some trusts have that facility. They have mock-up areas, or they'll set up an area for a big project, and then we can go to them. We can, advise them if they want us there. Generally, they don't. They do an in-house test, and we just supply the components. But if they haven't got those facilities, they can come to us. We will set up their door set for them, or they will have their own team set it up, and then they will carry out their own tests even without us present. It's a separate building. So we've had a number of trusts do private testing. And we don't know the results, so there's options, but we can help.
Presumably, I mean, with installation of some of these products, is the correct installation and getting it right first time is absolutely vital. How often do you assist with installation? Is that something you do a lot of, or is it very much left to either contractors or estates teams themselves in the NHS?
Yeah, no. So we've moved heavily into installation within the last 18 months. So we're getting more on top of that process. So we install a lot of products ourselves. We've also got a full installation team set up now that can be on site. So for bigger projects particularly, can be on site day one just to oversee the first couple of hours of install to see what's happening. And are also always on the end of a phone should there be questions that need to be asked. We do try and encourage mock-ups done early stages of projects as well, because that's where you will set the standard, make sure that both contractor and client are happy with the standard that's being set, just because then we can iron out all the pitfalls at that point.
And how much are you involved with working with architects in the sort of early design stages for new and mental health facilities and indeed retrofit projects?
Yeah, so we work in 2 different ways really in Intastop. So we work on 50% of our business probably is on retrofit. The other 50% is for new build. So when it comes to new build particularly, we are involved quite early stages with specification of the right product. And then with some architects, we then maintain that relationship all the way through the project to make sure that those products are still right as the project goes to comes out of the ground than it was day one of specification. and sometimes those specifications will change. But yeah, so we do a lot of retrofit as well, because predominantly we provide components as opposed to just full door sets.
How much does the sort of imperative at the moment on the public sector and the NHS to save money where possible sort of impact on the specification process? Presumably trusts and clinical and estates teams still have to put a very high priority on safety of patients and staff.
Yeah, I mean I think we alluded to it earlier in the webinar as well, that one of the critical things when designing is long-term costs. And that is a key ingredient. So the cheapest thing today might not necessarily be the cheapest thing long term. Most of the projects we're involved in will get value engineered at some point. But value engineering doesn't always mean bringing the price of the product down. It just might mean that are we providing the right thing that's going to last 20 years as opposed to something that's going to last 5, but it's a lot cheaper today. But that purse strings consideration is always at the forefront of all projects.
How much do you supply to other countries? Is that a overseas sales a significant market for you?
It's not a significant market because our market is the UK predominantly. We do supply overseas. Testing and standards are very different overseas. But we do it through distribution partners rather than be there ourselves. So we do have distribution in some major countries around the world. But yes, it's obviously always something that, should the opportunities arise, we move into. But currently, we're UK trying to improve that market, whilst working with those partners overseas that we've got in place.
What I'd do, Jonathan, for the people listening, is that I would definitely say the UK is the forefront for mental health design. I do a lot of work with the overseas distributors, and America, certainly continental Europe, they really look to the UK for inspiration and the standards. And like I said, America's catching up a lot, but Europe is a long way behind us, and they've got a different process for treating the patients. They're more like normal wards. They've not got the ligature prevention that we would have in England. Now, whether that's a litigation difference, because that does happen, there are litigation strength problems in England which you wouldn't have in, say, France. But certainly, when I've been to some of these units, you would think, it's a different mentality how they treat the patients, good or bad, and that's something we're trying to do at Designing Mental Health. Compare different countries and take the best parts of each country. Why are they doing it different to us, and vice versa.
You presumably, though, over the last, I don't know, 5 to 10 years, must have seen huge improvements in the design of mental health facilities in the UK. When you look at the standard of some of the new builds, particularly now, many win awards. The difference must be quite striking.
It's staggering, and that just comes from a better understanding of what it needs to look like. Some of the new builds now can look like hotels, which is great, and it must be great for service users to feel like they're in that kind of setting as opposed to a more industrial looking unit. So yeah, and I can only see those standards and those improvements continuing.
Presumably, when you're designing and manufacturing new products, ease of maintenance is one of the other key attributes. Can you say anything about that particularly?
Yeah, so ultimately that's a massive design consideration. Is it easy to fit and is it easy to maintain? Handrails being one thing, that they're component based as well. So should some damage happen to a part of it, we can change a component rather than changing whole systems. And the same with hinges, door stops, and door top alarms, that they're easy to clean, easy to maintain. But if something needs changing, even 5 years down the line, it can be very easily swapped over without really upsetting the building or taking a room out of use for a day. It's normally a couple of hours fix and it's back in use, which is a massive consideration, especially in this industry.
On a different product, are you seeing quite a lot of demand for the high impacts of the wall sheets that you produce? Because looking at some of the images, I mean, not only are they robust, but they would be a very good way of brightening up an interior and really transforming the feel inside a mental health facility.
Yeah, I mean, especially at Intastop as well, because since introducing our installation service, most cladding, as it's called, needs to be supplied and installed. So we was probably missing out on that previously. Now we supply and fit a lot of wall protection. The imagery itself, yes, you're right. It's just it does two things. These units were already buying those images, but probably in a different format, like a picture or something like that. But it's also protecting the wall, so it's kind of win-win really. And yes, that demand's becoming more and more. And also they're being used for on doors, the same images. And then when we alluded earlier to different design considerations, when we talk about dementia as an example, quite often it's used for wayfinding. Sometimes those patients might not recognise that that's their room, but they might recognise the way to their room using images or colour.
That's interesting. I mean, is obviously the dementia, the sector with an increase in both aging population and dementia cases, is that an area that you think you'll be putting more focus on in future?
Yeah, I don't think more focus. I just think possibly we used the umbrella term of mental health previously for everything, and actually everything's got a different consideration. Dementia is only one of those. We do have other considerations as well, potentially with various illnesses and things that might end up in certain settings that those design considerations have to change. But certainly with dementia and an aging population, colour is a massive factor, and being able to recognise the product for what the product is. So it's all, if we use door handles as an example, it's all very well a door handle being ligature free, but if it doesn't look like a standard door handle, it won't be recognised as a door handle.
Interesting. But sort of quality of manufacture is very important. How much of your manufacture is actually done in the UK, in Yorkshire?
It's difficult to put a percentage on it, but most of it now. So we've brought a lot of our manufacturing back into the UK, whereas previously a lot of raw material was sourced and manufactured away and then finished in the UK. We've brought all of that pre-COVID, to be fair. So we didn't see it coming, obviously, but it kind of fitted in line with Brexit and everything else. So yeah, vast majority of our manufacturing is all now done in the UK.
Presumably that gives you very close control over quality yourselves.
Gives us control over quality, procurement, cost, and yeah, just making sure that it's right. Sometimes you're not in control of the external economic factors, whereas we've done it for probably commercial reasons, but it's allowed us to obviously to stay a lot closer to what we need to do.
Thank you very much. Well, that's the end of the questions that we have today. Unless either of you two gentlemen want to add anything particularly. Thank you very much to everybody for attending the webinar, and thank you, Trevor, for your presentation, and Phil also for being on hand to answer the questions. A very interesting 40 minutes or so of presentation, and a good concise overview of the Intastop offering. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. Thank you everyone for joining in.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank you.